Well, at the Centre Court EMBA Festival, we've been talking a lot about personal fulfillment, the enrichment that comes with studying with one of the world's leading exec MBA programs. But there are so many tangible professional and financial rewards too. And at UNC Kenan-Flagler, 88% of students received a salary increase or successfully transitioned to new jobs during the program. There was an average of 32% salary increase during the program, and close to 100%, 96% of students reported improvement in their career marketability, both in the short term and in the long term. So to find out more about that and all of those intangibles of confidence and just an extraordinary community and experience, it's a pleasure to welcome Catherine Pyatt. Catherine is a graduate of the Kenan-Flagler EMBA. If you're wondering why she's so well dressed for Centre Court, it might stem from an early career internship that she did on Savile Row in London. Since then, she's built an impressive career in marketing. She's now a senior e-commerce channel manager for Watts Water Technology. It's great to have you with us, Catherine. And Cara Adams. Cara is the Director of Admissions and Student Recruitment for all of the Working Professional MBA programs at Kenan-Flagler. And there's not just one, we'll be talking about three program types. And maybe we can start there, Cara, just in terms of
Absolutely.
the school and what makes it such a special place.
Absolutely. So thank you for having us today, Matt. I think, we were the first public institution. Our brand certainly carries itself, but hopefully, as Catherine experienced as she went through the program as well, it's really centered around community, camaraderie, knowing that everyone's, taking on a big undertaking, but you've got a whole group of people there as a support system to guide you through. And so we really lean heavily on that. It's a reason we do interviews for all of our applicants because we want to make sure that they're a fit for the program, that it's not just looking at a resume or a transcript, but we're really able to have a deep conversation with them and can envision them sitting in the classroom. And then as much as it's really about the curriculum, as I mentioned, it's the community. It's the relationships that you build. This is intended to really be friendships that you have for life that you can lean on for personal matters for professional circumstances that come up. So that's kind of how we look at all of our formats, regardless of the program you're looking at.
And when we talk about location, we're actually talking about locations because, of course,
Mhm.
Chapel Hill, which has always been your home, but also delivering the Exec MBA program out of Charlotte.
Correct. So that's the program Catherine can certainly speak to as well. But yes, we have our evening format located in Chapel Hill. We have our weekend format that's also located in Chapel Hill. And then several years ago, we opened a brand new program in Charlotte. So our program in Charlotte is almost identical to our program in evening. They are located in Chapel Hill. Faculty travel back and forth between Charlotte and Chapel Hill. So you're not getting a satellite campus or adjunct faculty. You're truly getting the same experience, just understanding not everybody has the ability to travel to Chapel Hill on a weekly or monthly basis.
Right. Catherine, I was talking about the impressive marketing focus of your career, your current role. And I mean, you could think, well, she's doing so well. Big step then to decide to go back to business school. So talk us through what inspired that decision to get your EMBA, and of course, the choice of UNC.
Yeah, so I had been thinking about getting my MBA for a while. I knew it would help me progress in my career and learn more, especially at this early phase in my career. So when I saw that UNC was opening an area on campus in Charlotte, I thought it would be perfect for me. I was living in Charlotte at the time, actually living really close to where class was held, right in Uptown Charlotte. So I was really, really interested in the UNC program, and the more I got to know, the more interested I became. It was a nice sweet spot for me in my life personally because I had a few years of work experience under my belt, but also don't have kids yet. So I was interested in getting my MBA, before starting a family, although that's not a blocker for sure. And I really liked that it was in person because I work fully remotely. So really everything about the program was hitting all of the things that I wanted. So for me, it was a very easy decision. I was super excited to enroll at UNC and get started.
But perhaps just dwelling on that point of that there's no one time to go back to business school, but for you, it was doing it sooner rather than later. Often we think of the exec MBA, perhaps, individuals 10, 12, 15 years of professional experience. Um, Did you find then, that there were going to be real benefits to get that learning, that sort of leadership pathway at Kenan-Flagler that's serving you so well in your current role?
Yeah, and it really is open for people at any stage of life. You know, we had lots of people who were starting families, who had young kids, who had older kids, and then several people like me who don't have kids yet. So it is what you make of it, and you can join at any point. But for me to be able to really put a lot of time in it and not have that family obligation yet was really nice for me. And like I said, being early career, I think it helped me leapfrog a little bit more and get some more experience with leadership and working with different teams and something that I could really apply right away to my career.
Right. Cara, when we were off air, we were just talking about last week in orientation and welcoming all of these
Mhm.
candidates who profiles, you've interviewed them, but now they're showing up and what a wonderful moment that is. You must be very mindful as you're then crafting the diversity of that classroom, the personalities, how they're going to connect with each other, how everyone's going to bring the best out of each other, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So we aim to build, each cohort with various backgrounds, industries, skill sets, so that you're not coming into a classroom and learning from similar backgrounds that maybe you work with every single day or the same undergraduate degree that you pursued. So yeah, we try to do a really good job of, working with each cohort to really make it so that you have individuals that you can learn from and lean on. And there's certainly classes where, students are going to feel like they're the expert. I always joke that the accountants in the room find out that they're best friends with everyone when you're going through accounting. But then understanding too that there's classes that, you have a lot of experience in and areas that your classmates can really lean on your knowledge. So yeah, last weekend was amazing. It was really good to see it all come to fruition, to see relationships start to form. We also, which I'm sure Catherine can speak to as well, is we put you on study teams the first weekend of orientation, and those are the teams that you work with throughout the whole first year of the program. So I like that we do that because it takes away that kind of uncertainty of where people's strong suits are and trying to create a team of individuals that you've only known for 24 to 48 hours, that we do that work for you. You get to spend the first really day and a half getting to know everyone in your cohort, and then you find out who your study team is. And while you can still work, of course, across with individuals in other study teams on certain things, that study team is really the group that you work with the most throughout that first program. So it's nice too if you maybe don't have a quant background, that there's individuals that you can lean on, and vice versa as you go through that first year of core.
Right. And in addition to the flexibility of the three programs, also a lot of personalization in terms of then, electives that you could take or particular tracks to really, I guess, create a pathway that's specifically relevant to you.
Absolutely, and I'll let certainly Catherine speak to maybe the concentration or elective she chose to pursue. But we allow that second year. We call it kind of a create your own adventure. So you get a list of all of the different electives that we have throughout our EMBA format, and you can pick and choose, which electives are a best fit for you, and that even includes our online program. There's sometimes opportunities to take an online elective if you can't come in person. So whether it's, Catherine being in Charlotte and wanting to come and still have some of that Chapel Hill experience through a weekend elective, she had the, opportunity to do that. And it gives you the ability to network across cohorts. So again, you've got your core group, but then you can meet students outside of that program. So for Catherine, that would be our weekend format, our evening format, and vice versa. She certainly had students in her electives, I'm sure they're in Charlotte, who were in our evening or weekend formats as well.
Well, Catherine, I hope that you've met one of those accountants in the first days of joining the program. In terms of the academic experience, both the group work, um, were you mindful that you're learning as much from the people sitting next to you as you are, the very smart professor at the front of the classroom?
Yes, absolutely. We have some people in our program with just really impressive backgrounds that are really diverse in their experience. I like to brag a little bit because my study group had finance people, of course, being in Charlotte, but I also had a doctor and a lawyer. So very different backgrounds, very different professions, and we could all draw on each other's experiences and really had a great group experience with them. And then even outside of the group, just so many different professions, different strengths, and then different areas in their career, different stages in their career. So being in the room with lots of very smart, motivated people, really, I can really draw on that. And it did give me a lot of confidence. And I learned a lot just from sitting next to them, just hearing the questions that they ask, hearing how they speak to things that they are experts in. It's really helpful to have such a diverse, strong group of people.
We talk about, always ask a busy person to take on a new project, and you'd made this commitment. You already had a demanding professional, and now you're juggling work, you're juggling family life and studies. The reality of that and how you set yourself priorities to make all of that connect and work together.
Yeah, for me, it was pretty flexible. I think not every week looked the same. So I went into it thinking I would probably have 1 or 2 days a week where I would really dedicate to school, and then the rest of the week would be not school, would be work, family. But it turned out to be a lot more flexible for me. So I would get an hour done where I could. When I had energy to do something, I would do it. I know that wasn't what everyone did. Some people did stick to those, strict hourly rules that they set, that this is time for family, this is time for school. So the flexibility of the EMBA program and having some content in person and some content online made it just easier for me to kind of change up my week and do whatever worked best that given week.
Right. And what's the power of something that you might learn over the weekend that you could then apply in the office on Monday morning?
Yeah, it's really cool to be able to have just spoken to a professor or a classmate who's a really key expert in something, and then be able to turn around and talk to someone who might be a completely different job function at my company, and I feel smarter speaking to that function because I had just spoken to someone else about it.
Right. In terms of, Cara, there's so many options today to upskill, whether greater familiarity with AI tools,
Mhm.
the fundamentals of finance. Is there something really defining and powerful with the Exec MBA, both the intentionality of the students and bringing them together in this very structured and intense format that that you feel is so powerful?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that we try to really do pulse checks and surveys on our students to see what their needs are. For example, AI, of course, in almost every interview we do now, students are looking at what AI components we bring into the classroom. So I think it's good that we continue to have that full like 360 conversation between admissions, between program staff, between faculty, between students, and try to constantly innovate in that space. And then I think the other thing is we have about half of the curriculum is centered around electives, which I feel like is a big differentiator for our program. So really the idea is that it's super customizable. Some
Mm.
students come in and, when we're interviewing them, before they even get admitted, their career goals look like, path A. And then they get into the program and they realize they suddenly have a passion for something they maybe never had even thought about before. But now that they've taken a course or worked with a faculty member or met other students in the program, they're now kind of looking at course B. And so I think it's important that we allow them to be flexible, that we allow them to customize the MBA. And, they're not all walking away with the exact same degree at the end, and then knowing too that they can pivot if they want to. They've got the first full year to decide if they want to do a concentration. About half of our students do and about half don't. But as you kind of spoke to in the beginning about the career marketability piece, the number of students who are pivoting careers, getting a salary increase, I think it's just really important that they know that this whole journey, which is why we call the second year of electives really a choose your own adventure, is meant to be customizable in real time for them. So if their kind of goals change, where they cut their approach with a job opportunity that wasn't on their horizon when they started the program, that we can kind of be there with them as they navigate the rest of that MBA journey together.
And as one of the top EMBA programs in the country, attracting top talent from the healthcare industry and finance and across all of these different industries, it could be intimidating and think, wow, is there a place for me in a program like that? How do you like to share that experience, that personalized journey, and say, no, there's absolutely a place for you here?
Absolutely. I think it's important. I mean, UNC from an undergraduate business perspective, students have always kind of historically self-selected out of looking at those because it is such a rigorous undergraduate program. Unlike some institutions, you can't just go and declare a business major at Kenan-Flagler. You have to be accepted to the business school. So there's a whole nother level involved in that. And so it is having those conversations and seeing, is it a semester in undergrad that someone maybe struggled a little bit? Do they not feel like they have enough work experience? And talking through a lot of those initial concerns they have. Some students feel more comfortable in having a phone consult or grabbing coffee one-on-one and maybe not coming to a bigger event that we also do in person, but they're not ready to walk into a room with 50 people. They really want that one-on-one conversation with you. So I think it's the transparency from both sides of saying, okay, maybe you didn't do well in some of these quant classes, but how can we still set you up for success if you do apply and get admitted to the program and choose to come? And I think just being able to hone in on, everyone's looking to pursue an MBA to fill a gap. So the things that they may not feel really strong in, someone else is going to be stronger, but then there's certain things that they may be incredible and that another student is coming to fill that exact gap. So it really is a trade-off and a handoff on like helping each other grow. I always say it's probably one of the most vulnerable, safe kind of spaces because everybody's looking to grow. So it's not sometimes at work where you feel like you have to just really, put on a brave face and maybe tackle whatever you have to do. You can really say, I'm here to grow in these areas. And someone else is going to say, well, I'll help you with that if you help me grow in these areas, and vice versa.
Right, right. Everybody wins. And it was lovely, Catherine, just to hear you describing the confidence, talking to colleagues from different functions within the conference. So, balance sheets and business models, fun too, right? I mean, a very rigorous program and great technical skills that you're developing, but and you're part of this bigger community. So clubs, events, networking. How did the program then, build such a strong sense of community?
Yeah, something that's unique about the Charlotte program is that we have Executive Fridays, where we have an executive speaker from the Charlotte area come in and speak to us. And then we have our afternoon classes. And then, given the nature of us all being together, let out of class at 6 p.m. on a Friday, usually we would go out to dinner together, go somewhere in Charlotte, uptown together. So those Fridays were really special. We got to bond and make some friendships out of that. And there were other networking opportunities. Like I said, I was really looking for an in-person program for that reason. And I felt like I was able to build a strong network, both with the Charlotte cohort, but also there were opportunities to go to Chapel Hill and build that network with the Chapel Hill and the weekend programs as well.
Right. And, we're going to do an exec MBA just once in our lives. And yet these are lifelong friendships. Cara was giving the example, whether, in terms of personal life, professional challenges, it's people that are really there. You're there for each other, which becomes an incredible network to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll give the ladies chat a little shout out because we had a nice small cohort of women. We have a ladies group chat of 13 women that still is very active today, and it's the most supportive group of women I've ever been a part of. And getting through that 2 years to have people that you can lean on and rely on. And then beyond that 2 years, we're constantly asking for advice professionally, personally, like you mentioned. And even outside of the women of the cohort, it's a strong community where we know that everyone's there for each other, and it's a really good resource to have.
Yeah. Catherine was saying to us earlier, Cara, that for her it was great to be able to join the program at earlier stage of her career, and everything that would set her up for later on. It strikes me that the exec MBA often arrives at this interesting pivotal moment. We've been through undergrad, early stages of our career. maybe we're looking for change. Someone wants to start their own business or, consider other career opportunities. So how do you then also support students as they're thinking about their career development, coaching and sort of holding up a mirror to, where they excel and some of the things that they might want to explore?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have an amazing career services team, and we have a whole suite of career coaches. So you can pick and choose whether you want to work specifically with one career coach throughout the whole duration of the program. Maybe you're looking for kind of just like a just-in-time conversation, like I mentioned before. Students are getting approached now that they're doing the program of, okay, well, maybe this job opportunity opened up and it wasn't really on their radar, and they want to talk through that. So really, just in the same way that you're kind of outlining your curriculum and your electives and everything else with the program director and registrar, you're essentially doing the same ideally with a career coach. So that's kind of looking at what that career path looks like, helping you decide, are there certain electives you should take, certain opportunities you should take advantage of to help build that resume, especially if you're looking to do a pivot. Our career services team always says if you're looking to a pivot, both industry and function, you really want to start working with them early on. And so essentially you have the opportunity as you go through the 2 years to work with them. And they also do executive coaching. So maybe you're already in a higher level position. You see yourself going to a C-suite position, but you're looking for more executive coaching. You're taking on a new team or something of that nature. You can also work with them on that regard. You also get career coaching for life. So some students, maybe they want to make a pivot, but they're really nervous about taking on a brand new job opportunity and a brand new MBA program and really being able to give 100% to both. So they may want to maybe start working with a career coach towards the end of the program, but then really pick up speed once they graduate, once they have that kind of time back, to really focus on what that career kind of pathway looks like for them. So our career coaches do all of our webinars with us, all of our open houses, all of our class visits. They present with us. I feel like it is integral to have them as part of those initial conversations, because everyone is coming to do an MBA to help grow their career in some fashion, even if it's, I love what I do and I love who I work for, but I just want to continue moving up, the trajectory kind of ladder within my organization. It still helps to have some type of career coaching as part of
Now,
that.
you meet these candidates as very accomplished already in the trajectories that they have. Thinking about business school, you see them through that application process, and then you watch them through the program. It must be remarkable to see, that individual, and then perhaps 2 years later, is it really visible to you, the confidence and the person that's emerging at the other side of the EMBA program?
Absolutely. I think it's funny. We had this conversation after orientation. My counterpart, Colleen, that I know Catherine has worked with in Charlotte, we both left just probably more energized than all of the 130 students that were sitting there at the McCall Business School on Friday, because it's so exciting to be part of their journey to, initially, as I mentioned, maybe have that coffee chat 6 months ago, really encourage them to apply, then be there throughout their admittance, then see them at orientation, super excited. And then graduation is one of our favorite things too, to be there to celebrate with them. And they're also our best advocates. Like, when we talked about having an alum on the webinar today, Catherine, like multiple staff members put her name first and foremost above anybody. And so like that just goes to say, like, I think it's important that she feels like she's made an impact, but I think it's also important that it comes full circle and that she realized like the staff and the faculty think very highly of her. And she again is one of the first names that was put out there as helping today. So I think that just speaks volumes too, that it really is a full circle. And regardless of where you sit on the staff, even if you're in the beginning pieces like me and my team are, it's still really nice to know that we're there throughout the entire journey, even beyond graduation.
This is a wonderful moment to blush, Catherine. Now, if you were to go back to that first day, finding the accountant, um, advice that you'd give yourself because you had to prioritize, you're juggling this with work. What would that advice be? And perhaps for anyone that's thinking, yeah, business school, it's a big step, it's a big investment. Would you encourage them?
Absolutely, I would. I guess advice would be take a breath. It's going to be a long 2 years and a hard 2 years, but it's so worth it, and it does fly by much quicker than I expected. And I guess just to take a look around at the people sitting next to you, because they're going to become some of your best friends, which is kind of hard to imagine on day one when you're sitting next to a bunch of strangers. But you're going to learn so much, and I think I really got a lot of energy from the program and the people around me. So trying to keep that in mind when it's some of those tough nights that you're up late studying, just to think about what's going to come of it at the end of the 2 years.
Right. If the 30 seconds in the elevator and it's like, oh, you did the EMBA at the Kenan-Flagler. One standout moment, maybe it was unexpected, but as you think about that program, something that has been so special to you, what would that be?
Yeah, I was able to participate in the STAR program, which is Student Teams Achieving Results. So it's a consulting program where you consult with a business or real world business partner on their problems. It was a 5-month program where I got to be in a group with both Charlotte and Chapel Hill students. So that group also grew really close, working late nights on a quick consulting project, and it was really fun. It was really interesting and challenging. That was one of the standout moments for sure. And at the end of the program, we all got to go to Pittsburgh and present our final recommendations to the client, which was just a really cool experience for me, and something that I feel like also helped me gain confidence. Giving a pitch in front of real clients was something I'd never done before. So just really good experience to learn with faculty advisor, student advisor. So, you're outside of the classroom, but you still have that kind of person to grow from and learn from and fall back on. So really great experience for me.
Right. So, Cara, my final question, the personal growth that Catherine's describing, the financial rewards, the transitions, opening new doors. um, Viewers are going to be very enthusiastic and they'll want to find out more. So, good touch points with you and your team, events that you're organizing. What are good ways to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So our email address is emba@unc.edu. If you want to reach out to that goes to the entire team. And then we kind of can funnel depending on what program you're interested in from there. I would also say look at our website. We host events all over the country. So we obviously do them in Charlotte and Raleigh primarily, but we are getting ready to be on the road because we also have an online program. So we recruit outside of the state of North Carolina as well for those formats. In particular MBA UNC. So we're everywhere from, New York to DC to Boston to Atlanta. So we would love to meet you in person. And like I said before, if maybe walking into a room, I always try to say when we put these events together, I don't know how I would be if I were invited to an event with 50 strangers I had never met. So we also understand, it's important to meet people where they are, that if they would rather have that phone consult, if they would rather have that one-on-one coffee chat, we are always available to do that as well, even if it's just via Zoom. So just don't hesitate to reach out to us. Let's talk about your situation. We can put a timeline together, talk through your concerns. But I will say there's probably no perfect time. So let's talk about maybe you just want to get some information about the program and apply 2 years from now. That's totally fine. It's never too early to start having those conversations now.
Right. And I think that personal touch, that sense of caring and community that you were talking about, which is so strong. Catherine, the feedback from faculty, the feedback from staff, all suggesting your name. Oh, she's a wonderful ambassador. They're right. We were very fortunate to have you with us at Centre Court to be able to share your story. And as we can continue to see that personal and professional growth. Cara, it was just great pleasure to have you with us to be able to talk about so many great options at the school. Thank you. It was a really great session. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for
Thank you
having
so
us. Thank you,
much.
Catherine.
Yeah, thank you.